back to the Ringer NFL show. Sheil Kapadia here, now joined by Steven Ruiz. We're doing quarterbacks every week. Ruiz, remind the people, you came up with a nice format last week, which I, of course, already forgot, but I did remember that I liked it. But remind the people of what we're going to be doing for this segment.
All right, we're going to be talking about 4 quarterbacks. The first quarterback we're going to talk about was better on film than the live viewing would have suggested or the box score would have suggested. The second quarterback was a little worse on film than the numbers implied. And then we're going to give out the performance of the week. And then we're going to give out our badge of honor, the most honorable quarterback performance. This quarterback doesn't have to win to get this honor, but the quarterback who gets it this week did happen to win.
Okay, there you go. I love it. And it's funny because Ruiz sends me the quarterbacks, but he doesn't tell me who's in what category. So I just have to make my guesses. It's like, how well do I know my fellow podcaster here? All right, so are we starting with the one where the film was better than the box score? Is that what we're starting with this week?
We are. We're going to start with Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
The guy in Kansas City. Yeah, I like most of the people, I saw that interception he threw early on in the game, and I was like, well, I mean, I think that was his 5th interception of the season. He's had a couple of ugly interceptions, just ones where you watch the tape and you're like, I don't even know what he was going for there. That was just a bad decision. So when I turned on the All-22 this week, I expected to see a bad performance out of him. But I mean, it was one of the better performances I've seen over the past couple of years. A lot of, I would say, pressure management, a lot of completions under pressure. And I think like what the Chiefs offense has devolved into is, hey, we're just going to have to get 6 yards on these first 2 downs. And then 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, we have the best quarterback in the world and he'll bail us out. And most of the time in this game, he found a way to bail him out. It was when they got set back on 1st and 2nd down where he couldn't possibly dig him out of that hole. That's not on him. I don't think any quarterback would be able to do that. But no, I was very impressed by what I saw out of Mahomes. And I think it's just continued maturation outside of within structure, but also outside of structure. He's not making these mistakes in the structure of the offense. I think you're seeing these mistakes because he's pressing to make plays downfield, because this offense just doesn't have the juice to do it anymore. They are clearly missing something from where they were. I would say 3 years ago. I would say 2020, 2021 is around where the offense started to fall off a little bit, and it kind of cratered last year. And then this year, if they don't trade for a wide receiver and fill in those gaps, I don't know if it's going to be a Super Bowl worthy offense by the time January rolls around.
Yeah, it feels, I mean, it does feel a lot like it felt last year, and they found a way. They won the Super Bowl. We know that, but it didn't look how it's normally looked with Patrick Mahomes. And maybe this year will be a little bit different. But yeah, we just talked about this, Ruiz. And so I did a little exercise with Nora in the first part of the show, going over Davante Adams' potential landing spots. And I kind of did him in tiers. And I came to the conclusion, and I actually don't know what you think, so I want to hear what you think. I said that Chiefs fans should be irate if they're just not on the first team on the phone, making the most aggressive offer for Davante Adams. Am I going overboard, or do you agree with that sentiment?
No, I think you're on the right track here. So what I did was I went through the routes Mahomes was throwing by year, and I was trying to figure out like where he used to throw a bunch of routes that he doesn't throw those routes anymore. And it was on the vertical routes, not surprisingly, but it's not go balls. Like he's throwing go balls at the same rate he was throwing them at in like 2019, 2020. What it is, it's the post routes. It's the deep crossing routes. It's the corner routes. It's kind of those like in-breakers and out-breakers, but still vertical routes. And if you look up the receivers that have done the most damage on those routes, the number 1 guy, unsurprisingly, is Tyreek Hill. The number 2 guy, which could be surprising because of who he's played with the last couple of years, is Davante Adams. He's caught 81 of those passes over the last 2 seasons, not including this year, 2022, 2023. So since he left Green Bay, he's been one of the more productive players on those deeper routes. So I feel like he would perfectly fill that void that's been in the Chiefs offense for the last couple of years. Now, the question is, will the Raiders actually trade him to a divisional rival?
See, I said that should be. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm like, they would be so stupid to even be worrying about that. The Chiefs aren't even playing the same sport as them. I mean, the Chiefs are winning. Like you're not doing anything to the Chiefs. They just won 2 Super Bowls. They're going to win more. What point are you possibly making now? Make them give you the best deal. Take the best deal. If it's not the Chiefs, obviously you don't trade them to the Chiefs. But if the Chiefs give you the best deal, like What do you care? You're trying to build your own team. So that if that comes out, I'm going to need like an emergency Ringer NFL show to be like, this is an unserious franchise. This is absolutely nonsense. Teams that operate like this are ridiculous. So
no, yeah, it would be bad for the league too. Let's think about the league and the entertainment of why I want to watch the Chiefs have an entertaining offense. What should happen is the league should make teams submit trade packages anonymously, and the Raiders just have to. The Raiders have to pick it blind. Antonio Pierce is not going to trade him to the Chiefs.
But how much? I don't know. The thing with the Raiders is we don't know who's making this trade. Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce, ownership. It's just like they're a mess. They're on Instagram. Who knows what's going on? They got to make a business decision. Antonio, it's not personally. Make a business decision. Take the best offer.
It's not. But I do have some backup options. If Davante Adams is not realistic, this is a high hope, and that's DK Metcalf. He can obviously help you out on those things. He's run a lot of post route. He's caught a lot of passes on those vertical routes that I was talking about.
Why would the Seahawks do that? Why would the Seahawks even consider that?
I don't think they would. You would have to see them kind of fall off over the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
But I think DK Metcalf's name has been included in trade talks for as long as I can remember. And I'm sure if the price is right, they'll think about it. This is a team that's it's in the first year of Mike McDonald's tenure. I still think there's a chance that they end up rebuilding, like a soft rebuild. It's not going to be like something where they blow up the roster, but I could see Mike McDonald wanting his guys in there and not the guys from the last regime. But some more realistic options than even that, because I think, like you said, DK Metcalf probably not getting traded. Adam Thielen. How about Adam Thielen? From 2022 to 2023, he caught 38 of these routes that I'm talking about, these deep vertical routes last year with Bryce Young as his quarterback. In 2022, he caught 33 of them. That's when we were thinking he was washed, right? In that Vikings offense, that wasn't a great Vikings passing game back then. If he could still get that done, I think he's the type of receiver who can strike up a rapport with Patrick Mahomes. Almost not on the level of what he has with Travis Kelce, but I think they think about the game in similar ways. And I think they could strike up a good connection right away. And then my last one would be call up the Jaguars. Ask about Gabe Davis, who is a very flawed receiver, but one thing he can do is produce explosive plays, as the Chiefs found out in that classic shootout with Mahomes and Allen in the playoffs. And then the other guy is Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk is perfectly designed to frustrate a guy like me who watches Trevor Lawrence throw these beautiful downfield balls, and he doesn't quite compete for those passes. And I think he would bring the same thing to Kansas City. All the film guys would be mad at him for not hauling in 50-50 balls from Mahomes. But I do think he provides that deep to intermediate area production that the Chiefs have lacked. The other thing, like I noticed when looking up these routes, was Travis Kelce was good for about a dozen of these catches per year up until 2022. He hasn't caught one since 2023. So if you're looking for an area where he's kind of fallen off, it's in that mid-range to deep area, especially the middle of the field.
Yeah, right now, just Patrick Mahomes, to your point, just 3.4% of his throws are going downfield. That's per Next Gen Stats. 3.4. Oh, no, that was this week. On the season is 4.1%, the lowest number of downfield throws in the NFL. His average throw is going 5.1 yards, which is last in the entire NFL.
You remember what you said about Andy Reid, about how he used to, I forget when you said this, it might have been on the Friday pod, but you said he used to send Deshaun Jackson down the field and just throw it to him no matter
First
what.
Play.
The first play of this game, they sent Xavier Worthy on a go route, and you could see Mahomes. It was kind of like on the backside. I don't know if it was the primary read. You could see Mahomes think about it and cock the ball, and then right before he throws a check down. And I was like, come on, man.
Ruined him. Come on, just let it rip. Randy's trying to help you on that one. He listens to the show. All right, I like it. Patrick Mahomes is our first one. All right, next one, the one most likely to get the fan. We should title this, most likely to get fan base mad every week. This is the one where Ruiz is saying, pump the brakes. Okay, the film is not as good as the praise that this quarterback is getting this week, or that the box score looked, or that watching live it appeared. Who do you got for this one?
I'm going with Sam Darnold, who continues to lead the NFL in touchdown passes. He moved the Vikings to 4-0 with another good performance. Here's the problem with the Sam Darnold evaluation this year. They haven't lost, right? And when you're watching highlights of a game where a team won, they never show the negative plays. You don't see the bad interceptions. You don't see the throws into coverage. You don't see the sack fumbles. You don't see it. He's gotten a good edit. That's what you would say. Like on a reality TV show, a contestant might get a good edit and one might get a bad edit. He's getting a very good edit, a very favorable edit right now. And I think once they start to lose games, they're not going 17-0. I'm not hating on the Vikings right now by suggesting they're going to lose games eventually. But once they start to lose games, I think his flaws will come more into focus. But it's not just me right now. It's not just me right now. According to Sports Info Solutions points earned metric, it's similar to the PFF grading system, but it's based on like an EPA scale. He ranks 18th, which is solid, which is, what you would expect of I would say a mediocre quarterback in an ideal situation, which we could say about Darnold in Minnesota. And then PFF, their grading has him more in line with Deshaun Watson. And we've talked plenty about Deshaun Watson on this feed, how poorly he's played. So it's not just me. There's something in the numbers that doesn't feel sustainable. And then you turn on the tape of this Packers game. I mean, he made a couple of great throws, like the throw to Justin Jefferson down the sideline, perfect throw. It required a very good catch. And I wonder if Justin Jefferson isn't able to haul in that ricocheted pass, the double ricocheted pass. Is it a highlight? Do we consider it a highlight? I don't know, but I'm giving him credit for that. But the other throws, like I guess people are going to get tired of hearing me say this, but Kevin O'Connell is doing the heavy lifting here. Like the way he designs plays, you could see every intention, like the way he sets up the protection, the way he uses motion, where he deploys the receivers, where he deploys Justin Jefferson in particular to kind of give Sam Darnold tells. It's fun to watch, and I think it's reduced the thinking that Sam Darnold has to do, especially on early downs. But when a team forces him to think, Sam Darnold still shows that he is liable to make just a head-scratching mistake, and he made a couple of them in this game and nearly let the Packers back into the game.
I like that I don't have to be the person, going into the season, I was like, just stop with all this Sam Darnold hype. It's not happening. I'll say this. I did not think, even what we've seen so far in 4 games, I did not think that was happening with this Vikings team. So he has exceeded my expectations. If you're a Vikings fan, he's exceeded your expectations. So I think there's like there are different sort of groups here. Ruiz is not saying he's playing like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. He's just saying that the scheme is doing a lot of work. And if you just isolate his performance, like he's not performing like a top 5, top 10. He's probably in like that middle range of guys who can, maybe they look good if things are working around them. If things aren't working around them, they might crumble. I think that's fair. I still think that means he's massively exceeded expectations, yet you don't have to go overboard just by the counting stats here with how he's playing. Now, I will say this in his defense. So if you want, like the statistical case for Sam Darnold, if you look at the turnover worthy plays from Pro Football Focus, he's a little worse than average, but he's not like near the bottom of the group. If you look at success rate, he's 5th. If you look at EPA per pass play, he's 10th. Now, I agree with you. You watch it like on the season, he's got the 7th lowest percentage of tight window throws. That matches sort of what I'm watching when I watch the Vikings. Not to say he's not making any tough throws, but not a high percentage of them. And he's taking 3.07 seconds to throw the ball. So like their protection, I had questions about the interior of their offensive line, whether it's stuff they're doing schematically or whatever. He has time to make some of those plays back there that maybe other quarterbacks do not. So I don't think you're being unfair. If you're a Vikings fan, you're upset about it. That's fine. That's normal about fandom. But I think there will be some of these this year where Ruiz will say them, and I feel like I keep teasing them, and we haven't gotten to one yet where I'll be like, oh, give me a break. He's playing awesome. But I don't anyone who's listened to this feed since the offseason knows that I'm probably going to be on board with what Ruiz is saying about Sam Darnold.
And I'm complimenting the other players on the team and the coaching staff. Like I'm complimenting the team overall. I'm just saying, let's put this quarterback's performance into context. The good news is I don't think they have a tough defensive schedule. So I don't think he's going to get exposed by any means. I think he's going to be able to keep this up. And this is going to be a top 10 offense all year. I think the Vikings are going to be a very good team this year. I'm more worried about in the playoffs. That's typically when you see these issues come to light.
I mean, I think it's going to happen before then. I'm not trying to be a hater, but I don't know. I haven't seen him go 17 games playing like this before. So until I see it, I'm just going to say regression's coming, regression's coming. Maybe it won't. The weird stuff happens in the NFL. That's why we watch. They surprise us this weekend. Not that the Jets are a juggernaut, but they go to London. They take on the Jets. Those are good corners. We'll see how he looks in that football game. All right, next one is best performance, right? Best performance of the week. Who do you got?
I mean, I wanted to give this to Jared Goff. I did give it to Jared Goff, the helmet sticker in my quarterback rankings, but it was just like a high level Jared Goff game. I didn't think it was very interesting, so I wanted to talk about Lamar Jackson, who I thought was very good on Sunday night in the Bills win. But I wanted to talk about this evolution we've seen out of him, on the whole. And I'm working on a story about the art of the check down, when's the best time to throw a check down, what down, how much time into a snap. And one thing I got my hands on data going back to 2018, and the best quarterback on checkdowns is Lamar Jackson since then, which isn't something you think of with Lamar Jackson. You think of the playmaking, the explosive plays. But not only is he number one since 2019, 2018, it's by a wide margin. And he's the only quarterback that's consistently good at it every year by EPA. He's one of the leaders in checkdown EPA. And the one thing that I think he's mastered is when to throw him. It's very clear which checkdowns are good and which checkdowns are bad. First down checkdowns are good. Positive EPA, positive success rate. That's the best time to throw it. Third down checkdowns, bad. Players like Joe Burrow last year was throwing a lot of third down checkdowns. And I think that was the result of him being injured and being hobbled. Ben Roethlisberger at the end of his career was a third down checkdown lover. If you look at the list, it's most of the quarterbacks you would call a check down machine. But Lamar Jackson is good at it because he doesn't throw them on third down. He throws them on first and second down. And the timing in which he does it, I think, impacts the play. But you look at his other areas where he's, managing risk. His sack rate this year, 3.6. The NFL average is 7.4. His interception / fumble rate is 2%. The NFL average is 3.5. He's only been charged with 2 pressures, according to PFF. They chart when a quarterback is responsible for creating their own pressure. Only 2. That's tied for the best in the league with around 5 quarterbacks. There are guys that are up in the double digits. I think Brock Purdy's at 13. Justin Fields is up there. He's usually up there. A couple of guys that are known as runaround guys that like to get out of structure and create. So Lamar Jackson has this elite combination of risk management and playmaking out of structure that Patrick Mahomes is that type of quarterback. We've seen Josh Allen develop into that type of quarterback, especially this year. And then there's Lamar Jackson, who never really gets credit for it. And I think it's time that we give him credit for avoiding these negative plays and creating so many explosive plays at the same time. It's very hard to do.
Yeah, he's 6th lowest turnover worthy play percentage, like you mentioned. The pressure stuff, 6th in pressure to sack rate. I was surprised. I didn't realize this until today. The Ravens are 1st in offensive DVOA, 1st in passing, and 1st in rushing. I mean, with the offensive line turnover they've had, with getting nothing from Mark Andrews really this year, their leading receivers are Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely. It's kind of another reminder that it's a small group of quarterbacks where it's just if they're healthy and out there, the offense is going to be good. And what they did and what they did on Sunday night, I feel like every time we talk about, it's either wow, Lamar Jackson was Superman, and that's fun. But then I do like seeing those nights like Sunday where it felt more all right, this feels actually more sustainable than when he just has to put the cape on.
And he still manages to look like Superman at times in those games.
Yes,
in some ways he does it he did it as a thrower, in my opinion, on Sunday night. Some of those touch throws he made over the second level of the defense and then before the third level of the defense. And then there was that that third down sideline throw to Zay Flowers where Flowers actually dropped the ball, but it was how the hell did Lamar drop it right into that
best throw of the night?
Yeah. He's just developed into an amazing thrower of the football. And that's another thing that he's never really gotten credit for. He's been questioned about his ability to throw football, but I'm not sure there are more talented arms out there right now in the NFL. He does the Matthew Stafford sidearm arm angle thing. He could throw with touch. I do think, his deep accuracy isn't the best, especially when he's throwing vertical lead throws, but that's more of a timing thing. I don't think it's a arm capability thing. I think once he figures out how to do that, he'll be better at it. But yeah, he's just the ideal modern quarterback. You could take away his rushing threat, and I still think he'd be a top 10 quarterback, which is crazy to say considering how big that threat is.
Yeah, he's got answers to a lot of problems, and we saw that on Sunday night. All right, most honorable quarterback. This could be a win, could be a loss. Just played the game the right way, as Larry Brown used to say.
That's right. No play action, no RPO, no screen passes, no yak. This is just pure quarterbacking.
Okay, who do we got?
I'm going with CJ Stroud.
Okay.
Against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think we would have celebrated this performance more if not for the addiction of this Texans offensive line to penalties, to pre-snap penalties. Laremy Tunsil has 11 pre-snap penalties this season. 11? After 4 games. I mean, I don't know the record for pre-snap penalties, but yeah, he has 11 of them. Every single offensive lineman had a penalty in the game against Jacksonville. All 5 of them. And then it's 3rd and 15. And then CJ Stroud's running for his life and throws a dime on the run and converts the first down. That's how it's been all season too. But I wanted to talk about him because I'm ready. I've seen enough. He's an elite quarterback. What's your reaction to that take? It's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. And then for me, it's still Justin Herbert, even though it doesn't look like it in this hell that he's playing, this hellhole of an offense he's playing in. But then it's CJ Stroud. Those are the 5 best quarterbacks in the league to me. And I would listen to any argument for putting Stroud over Herbert at this point. I think Stroud's in an offense that allows him, that provides a platform to see the best of him. And whereas Herbert doesn't have that. With Herbert, all you're looking at right now is risk management and negative play aversion. But with Stroud, I think the thing you're seeing this season, last year, he did the system quarterback thing. He looked like a polished quarterback. We were surprised how polished he was for a rookie. This year, you're starting to see the artist come out in him. I think you're starting to see more of that Matthew Stafford, creating throws, no-look passes. He had a no-look pass in this game where you wouldn't have been able to tell it was a no-look pass with how strong he threw the ball. Usually when a quarterback throws a no-look pass, they'll kind of float it just to give themselves a margin for error. No, he just drilled this one and it hit the receiver right in the hands. And I think he's making more throws on the run. He had one fadeaway throw that ended up being incomplete, but he was about 15 yards beyond the line of scrimmage and fading away with 3 pass rushers in his face. And he somehow gets a ball out to the perimeter and puts it on Stephon Diggs' hand. And Diggs can't make the catch. It would have been a tough catch, but to be able to save that play and give the receiver an opportunity, it was just amazing to watch. And when you watch him every week, it's just down to down. He never makes the wrong decision. He rarely misses throws. He creates out of structure. He can extend plays. He can get the ball out on time. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about watching him play. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
No, yeah, I don't have any pushback on that. I thought coming into the season, he was going to get there. I think I had him top 5 coming into the season. I think I had him top 5 on my trade value rankings. I did. The artistry thing is an interesting point you made, because there have been points this year where I go can't we the receivers are good, but I was schematically, I feel like they could be doing a little bit more where I felt like he was going to that, there was that Bears game where, man, that was a Sunday nighter. And I was man, they're kind of asking him to he's creating a lot, which I like that he can create, but I feel like he shouldn't have to do it this much. So it's nice to see that he has that in his game. Cause you're right. Last year, you had the game against Georgia and then he gets drafted and then he's playing last year. But last year it just felt like, man, this guy can just operate in the pocket. He's old school. He's just going to carve you up. And now you see a little bit more. But yeah, I love Stroud. I can't wait to watch him in big games. And he also seems like the most likable quarterback, the most normal, the most authentic in the NFL so far. That'll probably get beaten out of him and it'll be ruined because that's what the NFL does to people. But any clip I see, off-season interviews, that interaction he had with Jalen Johnson a couple of weeks ago, I'm just man, this seems like the guy you would want to hang out with the most among NFL quarterbacks.
And you could tell he just loves the game. He just loves ball. And he was raving about Matthew Stafford before the season. I think Matthew Stafford is the quarterback's quarterback. And if you appreciate him, it's kind of a ball knower test. But the one thing I'm worried about is that we're gonna see the stats continue to be what they were. He's 12th in QBR, 14th in EPA, and 21st in yards per dropback. The stats don't match the production because of the issues with the Texans offense, the penalty issues with the offensive line, and then the running game still stinks. Bobby Slowick has not figured out the running game at all, and they're still wasting too many early downs.
Outside zone, every first down for 2 yards.
Yeah, it just sets him back. It makes his job. It makes it easier for a guy like me to appreciate his film because we're seeing him put into these drastic situations that he fights his way out of. And I go, oh, wow. I like if he was in the system that he was, I think they did a better job of protecting him from those situations last year just because the penalties weren't happening. And I don't think you got to appreciate the full breadth of his talent, of his physical talent and creativity, but we're seeing it more. I just hope that we don't have a discussion be like, oh, second year slump for CJ Stroud, because people aren't watching and just looking at the box score.
No. Yeah, we're shutting that down right away. We already know who we're blaming if the Texans
that's right.
underperform. I'll give a little honorable mention to, because I know you didn't want to do them twice in a row, but I caught up on that Bears-Rams game yesterday. The Rams were going up and down the field in that game with nobody. And now it might not fit the honorable thing because they were doing play action. They were pulling out any junk they could find to pick up yards. But I just love McVay and Stafford. I mean, they were 5th in success rate among every NFL team on the road in Chicago, down offensive linemen, down Puka Nacua, down Cooper Kupp. Now, they couldn't convert in the red zone. They had a fumble, and then they had the interception at the end. But if you watch that game, like I'm watching it going, how do they lose this game? They're doing whatever they want. And so I just wanted to give them a shout out because all these teams now, and you'll hear coaches make excuses. This guy's down. Oh, well, it's hard our right tackle. It's like, look what they're doing right now with so many guys down. It speaks to if you have the coach and the quarterback who can work together and figure it out, I don't want to say you could put any other 10 guys out there, but like you can really make up for a lot. And they're doing that right now, even though the record's not showing it.
No, that was a fun game to watch because of both quarterbacks, but especially Matthew Stafford. And I think you saw the problems in the red zone. They weren't Matthew Stafford problems. That's when the space gets condensed and you need some guys that can win, and they don't have any guys that can win and they can't run the football. There's nothing you can do. But I think a testament to that offense is they are moving the ball between the 20s.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll see where their season goes. It might fall apart one week, but man, they are honorable so far through 4 weeks. All right, that was fun. Those are the categories with Steven Ruiz. You can, of course, read his QB rankings every week on theringer.com. And now that this is in my head, we've done a couple of weeks. Now when I watch on Sundays, I'm going to be like, I'm going to start making some predictions. Maybe I'll come in blind and I'll be like, all right, here's who I think you have for this. Here's who I think. Yeah, we'll evolve this segment as the season goes on. All right. Thank you to Ruiz. Thank you to Nora Princiotti. And thank you to Troy Farkas for producing this episode. We will be back later in the week with the preview episode. The cycle goes on, looking ahead to the big games in week 5. Until then, I'm Sheil Kapadia. Thanks for listening to the Ringer NFL Show.